Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Motorsports with Motorhead. I am your host, Captain Motorhead. Today is episode 4. Slightly delayed just due to the fact that it was 4th of July on Friday. I figured, why not? We'll go ahead and put this one out on Sunday. You got the Cup race coming on here in just a few hours. I'm excited. Chicago. Little bit worried about the weather though. We'll see how it all plays out though. Last time we raced in Chicago and it rained. Well, let's see, that was both times. Yep. So, why not make it third time the charm, right? Just have it be all three races we're going to do up in Chicago for a cup race be in the rain. It's made it where it's been a little bit of mayhem all three times. Or I should say two, hopefully three. Either way, it's going to be potentially the last race up in Chicago as well from the reports I've been reading. A lot of drivers sad to see it go. There are a few that have not had the best of luck, though, and if today doesn't pan out for them, are probably going to be a little happy to see it go. But more of that to come for next week. On to things that happened this past week. Wow, quite a bit to talk about, honestly. NHRA, first off, just to go there, because it did happen, 8 days ago now. Tony Stewart, round one of qualifying. His top fuel dragster's engine actually blows up. Not super huge explosion, but still a decent sized one. Tony was able to get out of the vehicle of his own power. In fact, his team was able to fix the engine, and he actually was able to qualify in the second round, where he qualified third. Not bad, especially since his engine blew up the first time around. He did give praise to his team for getting the repairs done in time, for that way he could be able to even make it for second round qualifying. And he talked about how expensive it is, which is something I think a lot of people don't think about whenever they see the explosions or accidents happen, whether it be NHRA, NASCAR. I've talked about safety quite a bit before, but I've really talked about the money side of it. And yeah, it's super expensive. Thinking back to the interview from Daytona with Kyle Busch, he even wore a T-shirt saying something about being the most expensive day of the year, and talked about it just being like bumper cars on that day, and how much it sucks for the teams, but that it's great for the fans, and apparently it's what the fans wanted, but horrible for the teams. And it's like, times like this, whenever a team owner and racer talks about it, yeah, it's expensive. And he feels that. And I waiting to see. I've tried to look into it more. They didn't really exactly explain what happened, if it was an engine failure or if it was a mistake on Tony's part. But either way, he's feeling it in his pocketbook. So that's a side of racing that kind of gets swept under the rug sometimes, but it can be expensive. But I'm really glad that he's okay. Also glad that he still was able to qualify and do well. Like I've said before, he's having himself a wonderful year, and I would really like to see him add another championship to his resume. 2 wins so far, multiple trips to the final round, just phenomenal. So he's having a great year. Would like to see it continue, and glad to see his team bounce back even after having the engine explode. So awesome to see for that. Really, all I have for NHRA though, Brittany Force was your top qualifier. I sadly didn't get to really follow up much more than that due to my work schedule and everything. But on from there, let's talk about Corey Heim. Heim time. Won the truck race, Lime Rock. First time that the trucks have ever got to race there. Corey qualified on the pole, swept the stages. In fact, he led all but one lap. Think that's rather cool for him. He has won 5 races this year now in the truck series. Expecting big things out of him. Little side note though, he sadly did not qualify for the Cup Series race in Chicago. He did fail to do so yesterday after having some contact with the wall that bent a toe link, which ruined his first lap for his qualifying run and made it where the second lap was pretty difficult for him. You could see he was struggling on the straights because of the toe link being out. Still put down a decent lap, but just wasn't good enough to be able to make it to the race. So that part kind of sucks for him, but I do expect big things out of him to come. Him and Connor Zilic, I think, will both be really big names in NASCAR. Zilic, I believe, we'll see him there next year. Um, and I'll touch a little bit more bases on that at the end of this one. But Corey Heim, I think, is going to be a few more years to go. I'm expecting that he will probably be in Xfinity next year. He's doing really well for the Toyota team. Racing in that number 11 down in the Truck Series makes me wonder, could he even maybe replace Denny Hamlin someday at JGR if Denny decides to move on with it being a Toyota team, and just as also the number 11. So I do wonder about that a little bit. Wouldn't mind seeing that. I also think that a lot of fans are right. You know, they have Corey Heim. Heim time is his slogan for him, kind of his call sign type thing. And I would love to see a watch company get in on that. I'm a big fan of G-Shock. I have quite a few of them. I can thank my grandpa Minnick for that. He got me into the G-Shock watches back when I was little. And I think it'd be a lot of fun to see someone like that get into the Truck Series or even Xfinity whenever Heim moves up to that and sponsors him as Heim time. You know, I just think that'd be really cool. Make a special watch for it, put it all in the car. I think it would sell. Not saying like ridiculously, you know, make a limited number of them or something. Just don't make them super expensive, but you'd still have some people that would buy that, especially if they waited it out for him to be an Xfinity Series or even all the way up to the Cup Series. You know, we'll see as time goes on for that though. But I really am happy for him, and I want to see more coming out of that. I expect to see him as the Truck Series champion, but we'll always have to wait and see. Due to the whole playoff format, things can still happen that'll just ruin your whole year. And at this point, who knows? Maybe he doesn't even make the Final Four. We'll have to wait and see. If he does make that, he still has to win that last race. So, kind of comes down to a lot. Um, and with that, you know, I guess I might as well just go into a little bit of the. I would like to see some changes for all of NASCAR and their playoffs. I touched on it a little bit after SVG won down in Mexico. I'm hoping to see him win again today. He is my pick, and I'll talk more on that later. But he's still, I think if I remember correctly, he was 32nd in points, even now after his win. Um, that's ridiculous that he is now racing for a championship, at least you know for the playoff side of things. Um, and you have drivers that have done really well now below the cutoff line, even though they've been up there racing at the top of the pack more often than other drivers have. That's the one thing I don't like about the win and you're in format. I still think it should come down to points to get in. We can keep the playoff part, but don't make it where it's win and in. Maybe reward a few more points for winning the race. That way we don't have times where like William Byron just got more points than I want to say, if I remember correctly, it was Denny that won the race just a few weeks back, and the things like that's kind of weird. You know, can you get more points without winning the race? Well, 4 stages, this and that. Okay, yeah, makes sense, but again, same time, a little weird. So maybe you give some more points for winning the race, change up a few other things. I don't think we need the fastest lap points rewarded anymore. The fact that Kyle Larson down in Mexico, he was so many laps down, I think it was 36 or something, and he got the fastest lap points awarded to him. So it's cool in a way because it's like, all right, you know, especially since I'm a fan of his, he got some points, helps out for the playoffs, especially if he gets down real close to crunch time. Maybe that'll be the thing that keeps him above the cut line. He gets to go on to the round of 8 or the round of 4, you know, the championship round, whatever. But at the same time, a guy 36 laps down got points. That's weird. And things don't feel right about that either. And so that's where it comes to. I get why some fans are upset about it. And then stages on road courses. They even just showed with the truck race why that's not exactly a great thing to do. You break it up. then there's no reason. There was only, granted that was a pretty long road course race. It was 100 laps. They broke it up into 3 stages. At that point, maybe just do 2 stages, split it right down the middle, or make it where your first stage would have been 35, 40 laps, your last stage would have been 60, to make it where there would have been some green flag pit stops or something, but a little weird with that. Um, they also didn't allow people to gain any spots on the pit road. That was all, they waited for everyone to be in their pits before they allowed work to be done. And I guess it's because of it being at the track it was, but things like that, I get it for certain tracks, but still, we got to do away with the whole stages at road courses, or at least take away where it's only just the one, one break, 2 stages, that's it. At least for road courses, I think they need to look at the whole stages thing as well. I know it's been a lot of complaints about folks, and I don't absolutely hate the stages everywhere. I think certain places it can work, and it kind of helps the teams out with some strategy. But there's also lots of places where I don't think we need it. Short tracks, road courses, those are my two biggest ones where I really feel like stage breaks are not necessary. But then you have some bigger tracks, like even Kansas, I think, doing at least a stage break could be okay. Don't really know if we need to break up into 3, though. Make the teams strategize a little bit more like they used to back in the early 2000s, or even before that in the 90s, 80s, when they didn't have anything like stage breaks, and it was you were either had to get a caution or you had to know when to pit. Okay, well now with the stage breaks, you kind of lose that a little bit. So maybe we can be able to take it back to the roots. I know that NASCAR said they're going to look at overhauling a little bit of the playoff format. We've really got to wait and see exactly what that means for that, though. But that's just a topic I will keep talking about, and we'll see as they make the changes how fans react to it. I would hope at the very minimum they go to a 3-race championship style where we continue the round for that last championship race, where it's 3 races, or at least 2, something to extend that out. I don't like that it's at least 3 races for each round until that final round, and it comes down to just 1 race. I get it, you got to be perfect every week. But at the same time, it coming down to one track that right now, let's face it, certain teams or certain manufacturers are doing good at. Well, okay, if any of them are in the final 4, you basically know that manufacturer, that team's going to win. That's how it's felt at least the last 2 years down there, and then we'll see how it is this year. On from there, though, I'll get off my little soapbox. We'll move on to Atlanta Echo Park Speedway Xfinity Series. Great race, lots of action. Felt kind of bad for Dale Jr. A lot of his cars got some good damage in it. Of course, so did other teams, though, too. It's just, I am a Junior fan, so that's why I'm going to mention that. But lots of chaos, lots of spins, including Nick Sanchez, who won the race. He was the cause of one of the cautions while trying to side draft. Collided, and he ended up spinning out. And he went through the grass, got lucky, not much damage done to the car. The splitter never caught into the grass. Even the booth was talking about how lucky he was on that. And then, there you go. Stage 3. He's racing up front. Starts making his way up there. And he's racing for the win. Ends up doing it. Absolutely phenomenal to watch. His car has some good damage, so any Nick Sanchez fans that are going to be getting that Lionel car, congrats to you, as it's going to be super cool. Hopefully they can be able to recreate some of the grass stains and everything on it, and all the bent splitters and all that too, but awesome win for him. It's his first win as well in the Xfinity Series, so a spin and win for the first win. I think that's rather cool. Other than that, not much to say though. Like I said, some big wrecks in the beginning, some great racing, and a first-time winner. I'm happy for him. Connor Zilic, who's kind of becoming my favorite driver to follow in Xfinity. He did real well, finished fourth. Justin Allgaier, he kind of was in the back of the pack due to being involved in one of the earlier wrecks and being my other favorite from Xfinity. Sadly, didn't have a great day, but he's still looking real well in the point standings, so I'm okay with that part. Um, on from there, I'm gonna go ahead and let's talk about NASCAR already. I know I don't usually get to it this quick in the episode, but this is gonna be a little bit shorter one today because of the holiday and everything. I just didn't want to take up too much people's time this week, and that's why I'm also putting this out today, right before the NASCAR race. That way, y'all can be able to just listen to it as you can. Maybe if the race is a little boring, you can be able to check this out instead. I don't know. I'll make sure to send it out to everybody though. But Cup race, crazy race. It was the first race for the in-season challenge bracket. Yeah, my bracket's already on fire and in the trash. Not from the first accident though. The first accident we had took out Ryan Blaney and Christopher Bell, and the announcers were already, oh, throw your brackets out, throw your brackets out. Yeah, luckily I didn't have either one of them really advancing too far. Would have ruined just a little bit because I did have Ryan Blaney winning his matchup just for the first round, but I did have him losing in the second. So at the moment there, I was like, all right, cool. I'm not doing too bad, not doing too bad. Yeah, then we start stage 2. Wow. Um, and I listened to Denny's podcast. I can't say for certain if it was 100% his fault of what happened. It looked like him and the number 34 got into it a little bit. I don't know who got loose or tight, if one maybe tried pushing there too hard, but that's at least where the accident started. Denny got sideways, went across the field, then went back up across the track, totally destroyed him. I was shocked that they even said later on he actually came back out on the track just for a little bit, tried to get some points, kind of like what Larson did down in Mexico. And then William Byron, the one that I had actually picked to win the race, who had been doing really well. He was running up top 10 all day at that point for the whole first stage of the race. Looked real good. His car was great. Him and Larson ish working together, but also still racing each other pretty hard like those two always do. Don't know why they don't ever seem to work together. Unlike Chase Elliott and Alex Bowman, who usually don't work together either, but hey, different story for this race. But Byron did get taken out in that. Larson, who had avoided the first big wreck earlier on, somehow made it through the first one with almost no damage, just a little bit to the back end. And by that I do mean the rear bumper, not even to the side or anything. The actual rear bumper got hit, so nothing major for the car itself. But he also was collected in that second big one. Didn't ruin his day necessarily, just kind of damaged the car a little bit. Didn't take him out of the race, but did put him back in the pack. He also almost spun, kind of recovered though a little bit later on, late in the race. So not a great day for him. And as a Hendrick fan, that was like, man, that kind of sucks. But at the same time, you had Alex Bowman up front for quite a bit of the race. In fact, he started up front with both Larson and Byron, three of them starting in the top 10. And he was doing rather phenomenal. I thought that this could be a nice night for Alex Bowman fans to be able to get a win. And I like Alex Bowman myself. As far as the Hendrick drivers go, I would have to say that, for me, Kyle Larson and William Byron are kind of tied for my top. Alex Bowman and Chase Elliott right there below them. I like all four of them. I would like to see a little bit more personality out of both Larson and Elliott, but I guess if you see him in other series, Larson, whenever he's on the dirt track, seems to have more personality, and Chase, whenever he's not talking about NASCAR stuff, has more personality, which is a little funny to me. But anyway, Byron, Larson, not doing well. Bowman, Elliott, running up front. Was really crazy to see them working together a couple times, linking up to be able to draft with each other, making it through the field, racing up front together, kind of playing it clean. Unlike what they usually do, I've seen all four of the Hendrick boys go at it. Even for their 40th year anniversary, you had Byron, Larson, and Elliott, all three racing for the win. and they were not playing really nice with each other at Martinsville. I think Mr. H himself had even made a comment in an interview afterwards that he was real worried about them wrecking each other. And as they were going into those final few laps, he was just thinking to himself, play nice, boys, play nice. So it kind of tells you, just the mentality there that they don't usually work well together. So seeing that was really different and was really nice. I like to see them working together as a team. Wish we could see it more. Hopefully, with all four of them starting in the back in Chicago today, maybe we will see it. But let me tell you, Chase Elliott has a lot to thank Alex Bowman for. Going into just 3 laps to go, Alex Bowman racing for the 3rd place spot. I honestly was wondering if we were going to see a Brad Keselowski win. He's right there leading it. And here comes Chase Elliott. All of a sudden, getting right there, Bowman. Bowman gets behind him. Huge push to the front. Going into it. White flag. Elliott's in the lead. I'm sitting there. What on earth is happening? Alex Bowman just pushed his teammate to the lead instead of trying to race him for it. Bowman gets in front of Keselowski. Aero blocks him. Thanks to that, it allows Chase Elliott to make it all the way back to the line. He wins the race. Absolutely phenomenal to see. Love it for him. Home track win. Absolutely cool. Breaks his winless streak. Quiets the haters. Love it. I only hope that Alex Bowman gets his as well now. Maybe Chase can be able to help him, bump him to the front as we go into a final race, maybe even at Daytona for the cutoff as we head into the playoffs, I don't know. Be really cool, though, to be able to see that happen for him and be able to get that paid back, because I think Bowman, he could have raced for it. He could have thrown a block instead, and he could have tried to see if he could have been able to stay up there and win the race himself. But instead, he pushed Elliott to the win, and then he even congratulated them instantly on the radio. He was happy for the 9 team. He said good for them. He wants them to enjoy that. And I hope that Chase Elliott has reached out to him and since said thank you, because he really should, and Bowman deserves it. Seeing the two of them do that together was absolutely phenomenal. Chase Elliott won in a car designed by a cancer patient who was actually there at the track. I believe it was a young boy. That was really cool. I like when NASCAR does things like that. Chase Elliott has had a car designed by some sort of hospital patient, some kid in need for a couple years now. The car itself is actually rather cool looking. Him and Chris Buescher kind of did bang sides together at one point, so he has a really nice looking tire mark on the driver's side door. So for the diecast collectors out there, it's going to be a nice addition to add to the collection. So I think this is a really nice one. I love that they cut to showing the boy there at the track, how excited he was. He was celebrating with some people. I think it was a real amazing moment for him and his family. And, it's things like that, little things in life you got to enjoy. And I think that that's really sweet that NASCAR did that. So phenomenal for him too, getting to be there for all of that. I believe, if I read the story right, he was actually a Chase Elliott fan. So he's a fan of the driver that he got to be there for all that. I think that's really phenomenal. So just real great thing for them to do that. One of the things I do love about NASCAR is whenever they try and reach out and they do things. I know in the past they've had some other people that have been involved with them that have been fighting any type of illness. Sadly, I know we lost one just last year, and they did real well at giving her a good memorial and showing what it is that she meant to the sport. So it's just really fun whenever I see the sport do things like that, and it just warms my heart. So I hope to see them continue to do that every year and just keep giving it back to the community a little bit like they do. It's nice to see that. I know not every series does things like that, so. And then, good on Hendrick and Chase Elliott and their team for allowing a kid to design a car and actually stick with it and put it out on the track. I think that's rather cool that they do that. And I saw the drawing of the original car. I mean, it looks rather close to how the kid drew it. So I think it's really cool to do. And just really excited for them on that. Alex Bowman, I hope he wins. I want to see it for all 4 Hendrick boys this year. And that way, it quiets everybody because a lot of people all think that one's over the other. I think that they have a strong team right now. I've said it once and say it again. I don't want them to change any of it right now, at least for another few years. I'd like to see this team stick together. Would maybe like to see more of a team dynamic with them though too. Out on the track at times, I hate seeing them fight against each other as much as they do. Even Larson, he's thrown some bad blocks on Elliott. I would like to see the two of them kind of mend that and work together a bit more. I don't know if all four of them just need to have a freaking weekend getaway trip where it's just the four Hendrick men just hanging out and, let bygones be bygones for the past. I don't know. But hopefully what we saw this weekend can happen some more out of that team. And love to see it. I mean, absolutely phenomenal race. Ridiculously crazy. And come on, guys. Why are we starting an in-season challenge bracket at a super speedway? I got to talk about this for a minute. I mentioned it. First wreck, my bracket was okay. Second wreck, wow. In the trash on fire. Yes. A lot of you would think I have Kyle Larson winning it. I actually did not. I had William Byron and Denny Hamlin going to the final round of that in-season challenge bracket, and I had Byron winning it. I think realistically I probably should have put Denny, but at this point, I guess realistically I shouldn't have put either one. Because Denny Hamlin was one of the ones taken out in the big wreck with Byron. As I mentioned, Denny was part of the reason the wreck even happened. 0 perfect brackets remaining. NASCAR themselves have come out and said it. 0 means not a single fan will be seeing that money this year. One lucky driver will still get their $1 million for whoever wins the in-series or in-season challenge, but no fans are going to be able to enjoy that. Now, I think that's kind of a miss on NASCAR. I mean, obviously you can never predict the big one, but to start an in-season challenge bracket on a super speedway, one of the craziest, unpredictable places for all of NASCAR. Yeah, that's a bit of a miss. I think even waiting 1 week and starting it this week at Chicago would have been a better idea. Sure, they could have made that work, even if it would have had it where it went 1 week into the playoffs of the first round or something. I think that would have been fine. A lot better to start on a road course than it is to start on a super speedway, if you ask me, even though I know a lot of fans will disagree with that and say it should have started on an intermediate or a short track. You know what? I'll agree. It should have. But the way how the schedule was, and then really wanting to do this year, here's your better option. I know it's not great, but better. But yeah, not a single remaining bracket. That's perfect. That's absolutely ridiculous to me. And I don't think that's any fan's fault. I think a lot of people, whether you played favorites or you really looked at stats. I did a little bit of both. Kind of looked at some of the stats, for the races that were coming up, especially since I had William Byron winning last week. I really thought I was going into that with a pretty strong bracket. Denny Hamlin, I knew he was going to be running up front too, and there was a potential that he would win. And luckily him and Byron weren't up against each other for the first round, so I felt pretty strong. I kind of looked at it all. There's a few favorites I played, but not many. Yeah, I really did not expect that big one to take everyone out. I expected there to be a big one. I just didn't think it'd be at the very start of a stage where I just didn't think it'd be at the very start of the stage when a lot of the big guys were in the middle of the pack. So that part kind of sucked. I don't really blame Denny Hamlin for it. I think it was just a racing incident. But yes, the big one totally ruined everyone's brackets. And at that point, I think that's whenever they should have said, throw your brackets in the trash. I think that first wreck, definitely hurt some people. But that big one was what really destroyed it. Because I saw a lot of the Jeff Gluck. I always shout out to him. It's thanks to him that I can keep up as much as I do whenever it comes to the races themselves. Because I'm not there in person. He's there usually, and if he's not, he's got connections and he knows what he's talking about way more than I do. And I always, thank him because it was him that was posting updates about the bracket even throughout the race. After that first wreck,
not too much change. It wasn't too horrible, but my gosh, I saw him posting the updates after that second accident, and it was crazy. And even he was talking at that point that he didn't think there'd be too many perfect brackets if any left. And by the end of the race, yeah, no joke. And to that, one other thing to kind of touch on for the whole bracket thing, and first before I say it, I get it. Even Denny Hamlin talked about this on his own podcast, Ty Dillon. I don't mind what Ty said about how he took out everyone's favorite driver. I think that's kind of funny. The only thing, though, is that before the accident, Ty Dillon was not in front of Denny Hamlin. So Ty didn't really take anyone's favorite driver out. He just survived the wreck that took Denny out. If they both would have finished the race entirely on the same lead lap and everything, then I would find what he said to be a lot funnier. I'm not saying it's not funny. It's just they would have had a bit of a better hit to it if they both would have finished the race. But I still don't blame him for saying it, especially with Denny loving to say how he beat everyone's favorite driver whenever he wins a race. So I don't blame Ty Dillon. Some of the people that are giving him a lot of flack online, I don't really get it entirely, because don't hate on him for saying it. I just think that it would have been a little bit better and a lot funnier if they both would have got to finish the race, because then you truly would have beat him straight up instead of, well, okay, you beat him due to an accident. So, but whatever on that. That's kind of it for NASCAR, for things that have happened on the track. But I got one last big thing to talk about for everything that's happened this past week before I get on to brand new news. Daniel Suarez, the number 99 in the Cup Series. He just raced in the 9 in the Xfinity Series down in Mexico. Won in that. Didn't do as great in the Cup Series, though, down in Mexico. He has announced, alongside with the team, that this is his last year at Trackhouse. At the end of the season, they are parting ways. Now, they say it's mutual. At first, I was all like, nah, there's no way it's mutual. He got fired. And I can see the writing on the wall. Connor Zilic. That's where he's going to be going. He's already raced for a couple of races for Trackhouse this year alone. And he's done really well. Just finishing just outside the top 10 at Atlanta. After running up in the top 10 for quite a bit of the race. Granted, I know a lot of people were taken out due to the big one, but hey, still, the kid ran up top, and he was doing well, and he's continuing to do well. I'm excited to see what he does in Chicago. It's going to be a lot of fun today. I'll talk again more about it next week, but he just finished second in the Xfinity Series yesterday. So, yeah, lots to see from him. But wait, if he's going to Cup, and he's most likely going to Trackhouse, and they only have 3 actual full-time spots. What were they going to do? Get rid of SVG? Shane Van Gisbergen? The driver from overseas? Who's a champion in other series? They're going to get rid of him? Nah, there's no way they get rid of him. They built this team around him almost. Or the current team. And then what? Ross Chastain? The Melon Man himself, the team's forefront driver who has the most wins for him and everything, you think they're going to get rid of him? Nah, no way. So the writing was on the wall. As much as I like Daniel Suarez, and I consider myself to be a slight fan of his, I at least respect him, it was right there. I knew he was the one that was going to get the short end of the stick, and bye-bye. See you later, have a good one. So when the news first broke, I was instantly, oh wow, he got fired. They're going to say it was mutual, to be able to save face for the rest of the fan base and everything, and to make it look nice for both the team and the driver. But that's really what I thought. Now I'm not so certain. Daniel himself has been really open about it in some interviews. He is not happy with the current standing at Trackhouse. Feels like his voice hasn't been heard. And I can't blame him. If that's really what's been going on, that's how he feels, maybe this has been a little bit more of his own decision and truly a mutual parting. because I think he saw the writing on the wall too. You know, he probably knew Zilich is coming up. One of us is going to be going. He might have even been, it's probably going to be me. So thinking about it, he decided against it. And he knew he was going to move on. He's not really giving hints of what he's going to do next year. I really don't want to see him go away from NASCAR. I would like to see him stay. I think Daniel Suarez is a good driver. He's had some really interesting themes for his cars. And he's always fun to listen to in an interview because he's animated. You know, he tells it how it is. And if he's upset with someone, he doesn't hold back from it. And I really like Daniel for that. So I hope to see him pick up another ride elsewhere. If not in the Cup Series, hopefully Xfinity Series at the absolute minimal. If him and Connor Zilich end up trading places, I wouldn't even really mind that. I think that would be kind of interesting to see. And I'm not saying that's what I think is going to happen. It's just if it does happen, I wouldn't mind that. I just want to see Sanchez get to stay around, Suarez stay around. I don't want to see him go away. Kind of talking with a buddy at work even, and I was like, do you think you'd see him go back to even the Mexico Series? And he was right. I think he's right. He said no. He said no to that. And I honestly got to agree with him on that, especially since, Daniel just became a dual citizen and everything. I don't see him going back down to Mexico to run full time. So, we'll have to kind of see there what happens with him. I think it's going to be interesting, and we'll definitely have to kind of wait and see. But I'm hoping for good things for him. He kind of hinted that there's good things to come, and that he's happy about his decisions. So I'm really hoping that he's right on that, and that things are going to go well. Other than that, for NASCAR guys, I really don't have anything else to say. Again, I'm excited for today. Chicago, Shane Van Gisbergen, he's my pick to win. He is starting on the pole. He was my pick before that, though. I thought, maybe Alex Bowman would be able to do well since he did win there last year. But with all four Hendrick cars starting in the back, don't know about that anymore. Denny Hamlin. Poor Denny. What is going on with JGR and their engines? He had another one blow up on him in practice. Absolutely horrible. So guess what? Denny's starting in the back. Yep. Then you got another one starting in the back. And honestly, I'm a little happy about it just because of the fact that you had Alex Bowman starting in the back. Bubba Wallace. He spun out and hit the tire walls during his qualifying session. He's starting in the back as well. That's mostly why the Hendrick boys are all starting in the back. Most of them hit the wall. Damage. Whether it be in practice or qualifying. So, if it is raining up there today, I think we are in for a fun one. But SVG, yeah, I'm going to say he's probably going to win it. Especially if there is rain. I expect it to be him. He put on a great show for us yesterday in Xfinity. Him and Connor Zilich raced it out for the win there. Don't want to talk too much on that though, because again, it's going to be for next week. So I'm trying not to touch on it too much, even though I know it just happened. But here we go. Something that did just happen. The British Grand Prix Silverstone. It just got over with. I'm actually going to be talking about something that just happened today. Wow, it's a little weird. It was raining. Yep, crazy race. Max Verstappen even spun out. So he did not win after starting on the pole. When I saw that he was starting on the pole, I honestly was like, well, that's probably it right there. He's going to win the race. No! Thank you, rain. You made it a little bit more interesting. He was out. Well, out of contention anyway. He was still in the race, but he lost quite a few spots. Then the driver, who I know I'm probably not going to say his name right, but I'm going to try. But Piastri was leading the race as the caution was thrown due to rain, and the safety car pulled out, and Piastri slowed down too much, caused Max to have to overcorrect and go around him, and Piastri got a 10-second penalty for that. A lot of people were trying to say, race is rigged, because right on the next restart, as they gave him that penalty, was when Max spun. And with Max spinning from second, and Piastri, who was winning the race, being given a 10-second penalty, it provided Lando Norris with the lead. Lando, earlier this week, had just talked about how he would love to be able to win this race because it is his home. Well, guess what, Lando? Whether it be thanks to the stewards or not, you won the race, man. A lot of fans are going to say it's rigged. I don't think so. I think it's fair. Piastri, sorry, he slowed down too much. I saw that myself, watched the replay of it quite a few times. I don't know if it was the rain or what kind of made it where he couldn't see the safety car too much and he slowed down a little too fast. Gave Verstappen a bit of a scare. I watched his in-car and he came around the corner, saw brake lights, had to hurry up, brake himself and turn to the right. So yeah, I don't blame them for giving him a penalty. 10 seconds. I know some are going to say it's a little steep. I looked up the rules. That's normal. And I did have to go look that up because I don't know a lot of the rules when it comes to F1. But that it does seem pretty normal because they call it a safety violation. And for most safety violations, you are looking at a pretty substantial penalty. So 10 seconds does seem exactly right. They again gave Lando Norris the win, which I am very happy for Lando on that, especially since, as I just talked about last week, for anytime I do follow F1, I usually follow the McLarens. Lando Norris is my top driver for F1, so the fact that he got to win, I think is really cool. Really excited for him on that. I just know that you're going to have a lot of people saying it was rigged, so that part kind of sucks. But again, I watched it. It's not rigged. He deserves the win. If others wouldn't have made the mistakes they made, then he probably wouldn't have won. I could have seen either Piastri or Max winning. So just kind of depends on the day, but thanks to the rain, it gave it to Lando. So congratulations to him. And that truly does it for me, guys. I didn't get to watch the full race, but I got to watch bits and pieces of it this morning. Absolutely loved what I saw. F1's had a great season this year. So has IndyCar. And I know a lot have complained about it, but honestly, NASCAR's not had a bad one either. Especially when you look at Xfinity and the Truck Series. It's been a good year for racing all around, everybody. And I'm excited to be talking about it. So, happy late 4th. Hope you all have a great day. I will see you on Friday, 11 a.m. sharp, Central Standard Time. We'll be back, just like normal. Alright, y'all. That's it for now. Stay safe out there. Until next time.